real facts.
Hello. Welcome everybody to the Facts Are Facts podcast. This is your favorite host, Broadway K. Everyone, please do me a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I want everybody to hear what I have to say, but most importantly, you guys. I'm here for an emergency podcast. Sorry for the delay. Been busy, but that's neither here nor there. My Denver Nuggets fired Mike Malone. Mike Malone was one of the longest tenured coaches in the NBA, along with Eric Spoelstra, along with Greg Popovich, and the Nuggets let him go. Now, there have been a lot of reviews about this, like, are the Denver Nuggets trying to tank? Everyone's passing the blame game, right? And I just want to let you guys know what I think. Malone had to go. He had to go. Now, I know you guys are shocked that I'm saying that. I'm a diehard Denver Nuggets fan. Everyone knows that. People know I love Mike Malone. But this season, the stuff he was doing, I just could not sweep it under the rug. I couldn't sweep it under the rug. I'm sorry. Calvin Booth, you should have been fired years ago. Okay? Should have been fired. Nobody wants to see you at their organization. Okay? Now, people ask, well, why did they fire both? The reason they fired both of these guys is because they created a toxic work environment, right? And this is the classic case of ego. A lot of people say money is the root of all evil. In my personal opinion, ego is the root of all evil. Now, if you guys are really basketball fans, I'm sure you watched the Last Dance documentary about the, Michael Jordan and the 90s Bulls. What broke that team up wasn't a team that beat them. It was the ego of the GM. Now, let's revisit it. In 1996, the Bulls won 72 games, 72-10. They won the title. Most people don't even know this. In 1997, the very next season, they won 69 games and won the title. They almost had two back-to-back 70-win seasons. In 1998, Scottie Pippen only played half the season, and they still won 62 games and won the title. And Scottie Pippen wasn't even really healthy throughout that playoff run with his back injury and everything like that. They still won the title. Now, most people are like, okay, if we're not going to win the title, someone's going to have to beat us, right? Jerry Krause had other plans. He told Phil Jackson before the season, before the 1998 season, Phil Jackson, you can go 82-0, you will not be back as the head coach. Why? Why not? Is it not about winning? And that's why I relate this situation to Mike Malone and Calvin Booth. Because it wasn't about winning anymore. It was about, I want the credit, and I want the credit. Calvin Booth had hidden agendas for his guys to play. A report recently came out. We traded Reggie Jackson and 3 second-round picks to the Hornets, basically to absorb his contract, right? Now, at the time, I'm like, why would we trade 3 seconds to do that? That wasn't smart. Now, I wanted Reggie Jackson off my team. First thing smoking. Don't get it twisted. However, you can use those assets to get off other contracts, right? The reason it's being reported he did that is to get Jalen Pickett minutes because he knew Mike Malone would prefer to play the vets. In this case, the vet would be Reggie Jackson. Okay? Mike Malone, the reason why I say he should be fired is because he started trying to get cute, right? Now, my analogy for this is like with business and with sports, you have to have the same bottom line, right? With business, if your goal is to make money and both people are on the same page, you can do something. But if somebody's goal is something else and somebody's goal doesn't fit that mold, the business is going to break up. It's the same thing with music, right? A lot of bands break up. Why? Some people, we can make a crossover hit. Some people like, I want to keep the music and the fan base pure. I want to stick to that fan base. Mike Malone and Calvin Booth were not aligned. Calvin Booth actually said, like, it's not about going back to back. That's a weird comment to me because I want to win every game. Okay, when I go play basketball, when I go to the gym, I'm not saying, oh, we may lose this game, but that's gonna help us win game 4. No, I want to win every time, right? And Mike Malone let his agenda get the best of him. That's what happened. He let his agenda get the best of him. We started off 37-19. Now, when we're winning these games, Jalen Pickett isn't playing much. Zeke Naji isn't playing much, right? What it was really about, it was about Jamal Murray bouncing back after a slow start, right? Christian Brown having just an amazing season. That guy's shooting 58% from the field as a shooting guard. 58% from the field. It's just ridiculous. Michael Porter Jr. was hooping at that time, dropping 30 balls, hitting the boards, surprisingly passing the ball during that time too, which every Nuggets fan thought was witchcraft, right? Aaron Gordon just becoming a demon shooter out of nowhere, shooting 40% from 3. I believe he's still shooting 50% from mid-range, and we know what he does when he's around the rim. We know what Aaron Gordon does. And Jokic just having the most demonic season we've seen since Wilt Chamberlain. Just ridiculous, man. He's averaging almost a 30-point triple-double, very high efficiency. I believe he's over 57% from the field. He's shooting over 40% from 3, and he's averaging a career high in steals, right? And Russ was doing his thing, 13, 6, and 4, I believe. At the time, was shooting 47% from the field, right? And then out of nowhere, these guys are just playing. So it kind of looked like, to me, now I'm not saying this is not a report. This is me as a fan watching every game. And now I'm listening to the interviews, deciphering what Malone's saying. Out of nowhere, Zeke Naji is playing. He's trash. He should not be playing, right? Out of nowhere, Jalen Pickett is playing. And it's almost like, and we're losing a lot of these games. Like I said, we started off 37-19. We've been 11-13 since. These guys are playing, and it's almost like Malone is like, see, when I play your guys, this is what happened. When I play my guys, this is what happened. And that's where you lose me. That's when you have to be fired. Now, my problem is the rest thing, right? Mike Malone was clearly trying to get rest for the players. It's this narrative coming around that we ran our starters into the ground last season. That's why we lost. No, sir. We lost due to lack of lineup versatility. KCP is not a great player. He just has a great PR team. He's in Orlando right now. Orlando's not good. His stats are not good. He's not performing well. Can he play a little defense? Sure. He got destroyed the championship year by Devin Booker. I believe Devin Booker scored like 40 points on like 80% shooting or something ridiculous like that. He was getting burnt up by Devin Booker, right? Nobody cared because we won anyway. Then against the Timberwolves, the reason we lost that series, he couldn't guard Anthony Edwards. Not guard him like Anthony Edwards was just making shots. He literally was incapable. It's like he wasn't there. Anthony Edwards was going to the rim whenever he wanted on KCP to the point where we had to double. That's when we start getting killed by Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Naz Reid and all these guys. Because now we have to run janky defense to stop somebody. So, yeah, I don't want to pay KCP $26 million or whatever he got from Orlando. There's no way I would pay him that, right? But Mike Malone, to me, got cute and was trying to, like, prove a point. Like, see, when I play your guys, look, this is what happened. And the biggest thing that and it's so disappointing because I've never heard anybody who covers the team bring it up. After the double overtime loss, when Russ misses the layup and they called a garbage foul call at the end that they would not have called if that was Michael Porter Jr., Russ, Jokic, Christian Brown, or Jamal Murray, they wouldn't have called that for us if that was us at the end of the game. After they call that, we lose a heartbreaker. Malone is like, oh, we're sitting all our players. Now, the reason why that's weird to me is like, okay, if you want to sit Jokic, cool. Now, if you ask me what I think, It's the NBA. You need to play. I grew up watching Michael Jordan. He was playing 82 games in the years they won the title. I don't care about rest. Okay, Paul Pierce got stabbed in a club and almost died. That was my favorite player of the 2000s. He played 82 games that year. So I don't really care about that. But even if you want to tell me Jokic had a 60-point triple-double, he needs a day off, even if you want to sell me on that, cool, right? If you want to tell me Jamal Murray's hurt, cool. Why is Michael Porter Jr. not playing in that game? Aaron Gordon, oh, he's been hurt all year. Maybe you can get me with that, right? Okay, so why is Christian Brown and Peyton Watson not playing? Christian Brown is 22 years old. Peyton Watson is about the same age as Christian Brown. You sit all those players against a tanking Spurs team? Now, this may have made more sense if we played some more tanking teams after that. You know what the schedule was after that? Golden State. After Golden State, Indiana. After Indiana, the Kings. After the Kings, we play Memphis. After Memphis, we play the Rockets. These are all teams in the top 10 of the West. You decide in a must-win game, we're going to sit the whole team and just bank on possibly winning against the Pacers. That was insane. You need to play Peyton Watson in that game. You need to play Christian Brown in that game. You play Russ, okay, cool. I would have played the starters. I would have told the starters, look, I know you guys are tired, but this is a must-win game. Go all out first half. We go up 30. You guys can rest the second half, right? You didn't do that. We lost the game because you punted the game. So I'm starting to look. You punted a lot of games. The Portland game was a punt. Jokic was not hurt. Y'all can keep trying to tell me he was hurt. I watched the Wizards game from start to finish. He had 40 in that game. He wasn't hurt. Malone was trying to bake in rest. If you listen to his interviews, he was saying, oh, we ran our starters into the ground last season. I feel good getting rest for our guys. Bro, you have to earn rest, okay? The 72-10 Bulls, yeah, you can rest your starters. You're the number 1 seed. It's locked up. The Warriors, they were 73-9. Okay, you can rest your starters. It was locked up. The 86 Celtics, you can rest your starters. You're the 1 seed. It's locked up. You don't get to rest players when you haven't earned it. We could have been the 2 seed, but you were obsessed with resting our players. That's the problem. And that's why Malone had to go. Malone had to go because he was getting cute with the lineups, trying to rest players in games we actually needed to win for seeding, and we punted the seeding away, right? Thank God we won last night because it's a chance we could end up in the play-in. And you don't want, this is the thing about a play-in, man. These are NBA players. Do you really want to be in a play-in game against a team like maybe Minnesota, maybe Memphis, maybe Golden State? Anything can happen. Ja Morant, 40 points and 12 assists. Anthony Edwards, 45 points. What's the other team I named? Yeah, any team. The Kings. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan combined for 80 points. You don't want to be in that type of situation and end up losing out. You don't want that, right? You punted the game. If you would have played the starters in the Spurs game, we would have definitely beat the Spurs. We wouldn't even be talking about this right now. We would be having different conversations. We would be trying to get the 3 seed. You also punted the game against the Lakers and tried to lie and say Jamal and Jokic were hurt. It was a strategy thing. And that's why I'm so happy. I'm so happy, even though I hate both of these teams. I hate the Lakers. I hate OKC for obvious reasons, right? I'm so happy OKC ran it back. Because the strategy thing is like, we don't want this team, to really have momentum and beat us and give them the confidence. And from the Lakers' point, it's like, oh, we already won. So we showed them we're the better team. We're not going to play them again. We already made our point. We're going to rest our players. No. I'm glad they ran it back, right? That's pride. That's integrity. That didn't work out for the Lakers, right? But it worked out for OKC. Now they won, and now they think like, okay, Shai had 40 against them. We're not worried about the Lakers. Shai had an easy 40, right? We're good. That's how they look at it now. J-Dub had a bounce-back game, so I believe he was 4 of 12 in the first game, the game they played before that. But this game he had 33 or something like that. Well, then he didn't have 33. He had, let me get the numbers for that. J-Dub, let's see. Versus the Lakers. J-Dub had 26 points on 11 of 21 shooting, right? He had a bounce-back game. That's better than the 14 points he had the first game. So now he has a little confidence. Now, like, okay, I figured out how to score against these guys, right? And we needed to do that versus a lot of these teams. You don't do that against the Lakers. You don't just sit the players. You don't do that. And then try to convince us they're hurt. No, they're not hurt. You're trying to gain a strategy advantage. And when you start punting games and it comes back to bite us, now it's like, oh, the Nuggets could possibly be in a play-in. That's your fault because you punted games away that we could have easily won. We were already in a tough situation because Jokic had the birth of his child, so he missed about 3 games. And you already know Julian Strawther is actually hurt. So it's not like you're having a guaranteed NBA player who's almost a double-digit scorer just that can just slide in these roles when you rest Michael Porter Jr., when you rest Aaron Gordon or Christian Brown. You're just betting on, Spencer Jones and Hunter Tyson to have good games, Jalen Pickett to have good games. Like, no. We need to play our players, right? And, another reason why I feel as though Malone should have been fired is because I know you guys hate the phrase, but the non-Jokic minutes just have not been good. Now, my personal opinion, the reason why the minutes haven't been good is because you haven't given the team an identity. This is why all season I was campaigning for the Nuggets to trade for Corey Kispert. The first reason is the contract is doable, and it's a longer contract, and it's also a tradable contract, right? So you can move Zeke Naji and Dario Saric, attach a pick to it, and in that Corey Kispert, right? You can do that. And then if you don't want Corey Kispert, you can trade him, and it's not a vet minimum contract or, some $5 million deal. If you want to go get a bigger fish, you can do that because he makes a certain amount of money, but it's not the type of money that'll kill you, right? And another thing is shot variance is a thing. So when you know you don't have the actual talent, you play on shot variance. A perfect example of this is who's the 6th man on the Detroit Pistons? That's Malik Beasley, right? Malik Beasley averages 16 points. He shoots 41% from 3. He's making 3.9 three-pointers a game. Not attempts. He's making that many, right? Now, what happens is when you watch these games, you kind of saw it last night against the Kings. Doug McDermott came in. The Nuggets were up. I believe we were up 8 points. Doug McDermott came in, hit a couple threes. Somebody else hit a 3. The Kings are up 1. Just that quick, right? So you play on the shot variance, right? When you have that. So now you give the bench an identity. We're going to get out and run. We're going to shoot a lot of threes, right? Because now, as opposed to it being a little clunky with Russ is great, but, Russ has never been like a demon shooter. So you got Russ, Peyton Watson, Zeke Naji. Like, these guys aren't shooters. Zeke Naji is a horrible screener. He's not a good role man. So you can't really, he doesn't give you an identity offensively, right? A lot of people say, defensively, he lets you switch, and he can switch and go. Like, look, man, I watch these games. OKC, they were attacking Zeke Naji. They don't look at him like, oh, my God. this guy's a lockdown defender. He's Bam Adebayo. Nobody looks at it like that, right? He doesn't give you an offensive identity. So now, if you go get Corey Kispert, you get off that Zeke contract, you get off that Dario Saric contract, right? You bring in Corey Kispert. You know this is a guy who's going to average. He's going to average double digits. Period. He's going to average double digits. He's surrounded by horrible playmaking in Washington. He's still getting double digits. You put him on a team with Westbrook, with Jokic, with Aaron Gordon. He's going to get wide open threes. He's been doing this since college. He also played in college with Julian Strawther. So now you're coming on with a bench with Westbrook, Julian Strawther, Corey Kispert, Peyton Watson, and DeAndre Jordan. Now it's like, oh, you got the athleticism with Russ and Peyton Watson. You got the size because Corey Kispert is 6'7". Julian Strawther is about 6'7". And then you got DeAndre Jordan getting the boards, right? Now that's another guy that you know you can pass him the ball and you can expect him to shoot and then go in. You can expect if he gets fouled, he's going to make the free throws, right? You need that type of identity. When your offense doesn't have an identity, people don't know what to do. That's why when a lot of people are saying microwave scorers off the bench aren't important, that's always been nonsense to me because you need an identity. The great benches always have it. When Lou Williams was on the Clippers, they knew that, okay, we can try other things, but we know the root of this bench is Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams pick and roll. We're gonna do that every play. If things break down, we know we got a combination we could go to. The Nuggets don't have that. It's like, okay, Westbrook has the ball, he's bringing it up. If you kick it to Peyton Watson, he may make it. He may actually injure a fan by airballing into the stands. like, you know what I mean? And then you got, DeAndre Jordan is older. If he gets fouled though, that's the thing. And they're fouling him easily because the spacing isn't that good. They're sitting in the paint on a Peyton Watson. They're sitting in the paint on these other guys, right? You don't know if they can hit these shots. You put a Corey Kispert on that team with Julian Strawther, who's shown he can get hot and hit threes. With Russ, it's a better bench, right? This is another reason why I said we should have attacked Kelly Olynyk. In my perfect world, we net Kelly Olynyk because he addresses multiple things. Size, he's a plus playmaker, and he's an off-ball shooter. You got to think for the playoffs, right? Sometimes we're going to do offense-defense subs, right? Now, we may have certain sets we want to run. Say we know we want to go to a Jokic post-up, right? In the playoffs, okay, we got to throw an offense out there. Say it's 35 seconds left, right? We know if we score a bucket, this team is calling a timeout. We know it, right? Now we can say, okay, we're going to come out with Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, Kelly Olynyk, and Jokic. Kelly Olynyk is a 40% three-point shooter over multiple years. You have to guard that, and he has the size to where you can't just do no light closeout, light contest. You have to actually contest. He's 6'11". That's a wrinkle, right? When things got bogged down in the Timberwolves series, nobody was scoring, man. It was rough out there for Aaron Gordon, right? That's a wrinkle we can go, hey, we haven't scored in 8 minutes. Get Kelly Olynyk out there. Because at that point, it's not about the quote-unquote defense. It's about like, hey, we got to get a bucket, And Kelly Olynyk gives you the space, and he's also a plus playmaker. He can catch and attack closeouts and find the open man. This is a guy that you could have got, but we kind of sat on our hands, and I don't appreciate that we did that. Now, in my perfect world, we would have went after Kelly Olynyk, and we would have signed Dennis Schroeder, right? We see what Dennis Schroeder has done. He got to the Pistons. They've been on the road since he's got there. He was killing earlier in the year with the Brooklyn Nets. Golden State didn't work out so much, but These other two teams, and most of his career, he's been doing this thing. But Kelly Olynyk was a piece that I think we could have added. And if we have Dennis Schroeder and Kelly Olynyk on this team, I firmly believe we're a 65-win team. I firmly believe it. And it's all about identities, man. And I feel like Malone never was able, outside of Jokic, to create an identity for the team. Now, he's been a coach for a decade, man. He's been a coach for a decade. I love Mike Malone, but it was time for a change. Now, we'll see. David Adelman is the son of a great coach. I've heard a lot of things about his X's and O's. The team actually looked like we had a scheme yesterday. I saw a lot of off-ball action. I saw a lot of screens. Most importantly, I didn't see Zeke Naji in the game. I didn't see that. Jalen Pickett hit 5 threes. Credit to him. I'm not a Jalen Pickett guy, but we did need those threes. That's what you need. Like I said, you need that shot variance, man. You need a guy that is a demon-level shooter to where if he makes one, people are like, oh, don't let him get hot. And everybody wants to run him off the line because that puts the defense in scramble mode, right? We needed that. Julian Strawther is back. I expected the first couple games to be rough, but I think he's going to be that guy. But I think he needs help in that regard of he needs more guys that can space the floor and shoot quickly off the catch like him. And, man, we look better. I love Jokic's quote after the game. Jokic's quote after the game, he said, most people want to attack beasts when they're vulnerable, but they might have woke the beast up. I like that. That's a quote. That lets me know, like, hey, man, Jokic is not trying to lay down on the season. That shows me he has a passion for this game. And that shows me that him and his team, man, still have a goal. They still think they can win the championship. They still think that. And honestly, you don't want to play the Nuggets in the playoffs because we have the best player in the NBA. So we'll see if Jamal is coming back. He didn't play last game. I expect him to play against Memphis, rightfully or wrongfully. I want to see him out there. If we have a healthy Jamal and we have a healthy Jokic, it's going to be tough to beat. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's going to be tough to beat us, man, because Michael Porter Jr. has shown a little bit of growth in this game to me where I'm seeing him catch and attack. I didn't see him do that a lot last year. Aaron Gordon has become a 40% three-point shooter. And we have Russ now, a guy who can get steals, who can get assists, who can rebound at the guard position, something we were not getting from Reggie Jackson, and a guy who can he can get points. And we become a demon-level transition team. And I honestly think it was just that 4-game skid that made people be like, whoa, the Nuggets aren't good. And all those games, man, all those games we could have won. We could have beat the Timberwolves. Like I said, Malone clearly, punted the Spurs game, which I thought was the most ridiculous thing ever. The Golden State game, that was a weird game, man. Jokic was dominating, but it's like they made a run and we just never answered back. That was a very weird game. But again, that was a game Jamal Murray did not participate in. And then, the game after that was the Pacers. And if Jokic doesn't make that turnover and Christian Brown comes around the screen, we can possibly score there and still win that game. So I just feel like the process was still good in those games, and I can tell people just weren't interested in hearing what Malone had to say. So now with Adelman, the vibes look a lot better. Jalen Pickett hit 5 threes yesterday. Maybe the league is like, we got to close out on that. Maybe. And if so, that can help the team out a whole lot. We'll see what happens with Russ. I definitely think he's clearly earned that he should still be playing. I don't believe these reports that the players didn't want him on the court. That sounds completely made up. Aaron Gordon has been hooping. Jokic is just a demon-level player. One of the greatest players I've ever seen in my life. Christian Brown, man, just got to give him his credit. He's shooting 58% from the field. 58% from the field, 39% from three, 5 rebounds. That's what you want from your two guard. And we'll see with the communication, because the defense wasn't always like this all season. The communication with the defense has been off. It looked so much better yesterday. And even though the game got kind of close, the Kings were making some insane shots, bro. Like, Zach LaVine is a tough shot maker. Shout out to him. DeMar DeRozan, tough shot maker. Keon Ellis, he was hitting a lot of threes. But the defense looked better. Like, it looked like we had them shook a little bit. Jokic had 4 steals in the first half. I like what I saw from the defense. So maybe it's been a communication issue, and maybe we'll lock back in. Less corner threes we need to give up. We need to kind of funnel guys into that mid-range like we did in that Suns series. So we'll see, man. But at the end of the day, how I feel, Calvin Booth, you should have been fired 2 years ago, man. You should have been fired 2 years ago. The problem, right? The problem is Malone wants vets. Booth wants to take chances with young guys, but he wants Malone to develop them. Malone's saving grace might have been Calvin Booth just drafted the wrong guys. This year was a perfect example, man. Calvin Booth wanted Day'Ron Holmes so bad. I have no issue with Day'Ron Holmes. For all I know, Day'Ron Holmes could go out there and be an all-star in some years. We don't know, right? He ends up tearing his Achilles in Summer League. Unfortunate. However, I don't know if you guys were watching yesterday. A second-round pick had 30, 18, and 5 yesterday. I've been saying all season, why did we trade up for Day'Ron Holmes when Kyle Filipowski was right there? It's less question marks. When you have a vet team, don't take weird risks like that, right? You don't do it. Because what we need is a contributor. We don't need a superstar. We don't need that. We have the best player in the NBA. We need somebody we know can contribute. Kyle Filipowski was good, man. He was really good at Duke. Score, rebound, pass, can rack up stocks. He did all of that at Duke. He was supposed to be a lottery pick if you looked. If you looked at the mock drafts during the season and after the college basketball season, Kyle Filipowski was in a lot of lotteries. When the draft comes, he falls out of the lottery, and we hear all this report about, oh, it's because he was groomed by his babysitter. Look, man, I don't care about none of that. Can you hoop? The guy's been hooping 30, 18, 5, 2 steals, 3 blocks last game, and they actually beat the Portland Trailblazers who've been hot. We could have just not moved assets and drafted Kyle Filipowski, and that's a guy who does all the things Zeke Nnaji does not. Zeke Nnaji is not a great screener. Kyle Filipowski is a good screener. Zeke Nnaji isn't a lob target. Kyle Filipowski, I wouldn't say he's, Rudy Gobert or DeAndre Jordan, but he can catch a lob. He has way more touch than Zeke Nnaji, and the shooting is not close. We could have had that on our team and kept our assets. Then we could have used those assets and attached Zeke Nnaji's contract to those assets and netted us a player like a Dennis Schroeder. Calvin Booth missed that. And you take these risks by trading up for these players, and you take these risks by you take these second-round picks and you pay them 4-year contracts before they ever play the NBA game. Now, I get his mindset. You catch lightning in a bottle. But guess what? What if they're not NBA players? And the jury's still out. We don't know if Jalen Pickett is an NBA player. We don't know if Hunter Tyson is an NBA player. Julian Strawther, I feel like we know. He's an NBA guy. He should be around for about 10 years, barring injury, right? But that's where Booth missed the bullet. So Booth missed the bullet by not his strategy, with the actual execution. You hit with the Christian Brown pick. I got to give you your credit. You hit with that. But you also got too much credit because you didn't draft Michael Porter Jr., you didn't draft Jamal Murray, you didn't draft Jokic. You didn't do any of that, right? But your execution was off. You draft Kyle Flipperkowski, we have a guy that can do everything. He can shoot, he can rebound, he can pass, he can get stocks, he can board. Zeke Naji, we don't know if he can do any of that. If he shoots a three and makes it, I'm like, oh, he made it. I'm not like, oh, that's cash when he shoots it. No. So that's the problem. The two weren't on the same page. Leadership was not aligned. Malone wanted vets. Booth wanted to develop young guys. Booth drafted the wrong players. Malone didn't develop the players. So that's why both got fired. So, Malone, I wish you the best of luck. I hope someone picks you up to be a coach. Sometimes, man, a reset is good for both parties. This could be good for the Nuggets, but at the same time, it could be good for Mike Malone. I say this all the time, man. People come up with a lot of weird narratives, and people try to say I don't let the outside noise bother me, but a lot of people are lying. A lot of people are lying. This is why Kevin Durant left Golden State. He won a title. Some people were like, he's the best player in the world. Some people were like, them rings don't count. That's Steph's team. That's a super team. You stacked the team, right? You think that wasn't bothering Kevin Durant? I think it might have been. So he left. Mike Malone probably doesn't like being called a Jokic merchant. He doesn't. I just explained what happened with the 90s Bulls. A lot of people are like, this is the Michael Jordan show. You guys are lucky to have Michael Jordan. You guys are lucky to have Phil Jackson. They like, okay, Phil Jackson not going to be the coach of this team next year. I don't care if we win a title or not. And that's where you lose me, man. So like I said, business, sports, you need the same bottom line. And the bottom line is Booth and Malone didn't have the same bottom line. Booth wanted to run this organization like the Spurs. He doesn't care about going back to back. He'd rather spread it out. So if he hits lightning in a bottle, if Jalen Pickett becomes some type of six-man demon like a Dennis Schroeder or Jamal Crawford, he's extended the title window, right? But if he doesn't, he doesn't. And you just wasted a pick. Malone wanted the vets. He wanted the short thing. Go get me an NBA vet. But Malone lost me. I was always on Malone's side, but he lost me when he brought that to the court and started valuing it over wins. We heard the reports about Malone purposely putting Jalen Pickett in bad situations. We heard the reports about him and Zeke's relationship, right? We heard it. We heard about these guys being in the doghouse. We see it with Dario Saric. Don't bring that on the court. Don't bring that on the court. And that's why you had to be fired. You punted games. You punted the Spurs game. You punted the Blazers game. You punted a bunch of games that now we're fighting for our playoff lives because you punted these games. We win that game against the Spurs, none of this matters. None of it. Then it's like, oh, we lost a heartbreaker, but we bounced back and we won the game. So, you know, the loss didn't mean much. The Timberwolves ended up losing right after that. So it didn't really do much, right? If you win that game against the Spurs, you wash the nasty taste out of our mouths that we blew a game that we had. We had the ball up one and ended up losing, right? You win the game against the Spurs, it's forgotten. Yeah, we bounced back. We got the win. But when you lose and then you lose again, now what's the talking point? Oh, the Nuggets have lost 4 straight. Yeah, we lost 4 straight because you punted a game that we needed to win. You knew we had playoff team, play-in team, playoff team. One of those being a 2 seed. And you just punted. You just didn't care. You just punted the game before that. That was the game we needed to win because that's the easiest game. The Spurs have no Wemby, no De'Aaron Fox, no Keldon Johnson, no Jeremy Sohan, no Devin Vassell. Go out there and tell the starters, look, balls to the wall for the first half, and you guys can rest the second half, right? Get ready for Golden State. Get ready for Indiana. Get ready for the Rockets. But you didn't. And that loss, it just didn't sit right with the players. It didn't sit right with ownership, and that's why you got fired. Rest is a myth. I'll say it again. Rest is a myth. The only teams that should be resting are the teams that earned that right. OKC earned the right to rest. Boston earned the right to rest. Cleveland Cavaliers earned the right to rest. If you're not a 60-win team, if you don't have seeding locked up, you haven't earned the right to rest. So you need to win those games. Because when you start in the series away, you're at a disadvantage. Because if you go down 0-2, it's big pressure on you to win game 3. Whereas if you have both games at home and you get off 2-0, now your feet are up, right? So, listen, man, Mike Malone, you were a great coach, but you had to go this year. Calvin Booth, you were iffy GM. I would never hire you to coach to be the GM of any team I liked or any team that I owned. But, you did some things that were right. You got us Russell Westbrook on a minimum. You got us Christian Brown at that draft pick. So, it's sad to see both of them go. But maybe the Nuggets can use this as a shot in the arm. Maybe we take care of business against the Grizzlies. And maybe the Rockets may rest their players. And, we beat the Rockets. Maybe they don't rest their players. We still beat the Rockets. And now we're still a 50-win team. And nobody wants to see us in the playoffs, I don't think. So, yeah, man, everybody, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. I'm Broadway K. This is Facts or Facts. Peace.
That's real facts.
Just let it go. Just let it go.